On the dais, Dr. Bakalrishna Pisupati, Head United Nations Environment Program India, Sri R. Kesavan, Executive Director, Reserve Bank of India, Chief Executive Officers and Chief Sustainability Officers of corporate sector, experts, participants from India and abroad, members of the media, I congratulate the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP India, and in particular its head, Dr. Bakalrishna Pisupati, for organizing this important consultative meeting on mobilizing India's corporate sector to reduce plastic waste and pollution. I am pleased to note that UNEP India has identified reducing plastic waste and pollution as a key priority area and is working closely with central and state governments and the private sector and the youth to address this challenge. There could not have been a more appropriate time to launch this initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, India generates approximately 3.4 million tons of plastic waste annually. Of this, nearly 40% remains uncollected, often finding its way into drains, rivers and soil. Today, almost every visit to a shopping mall, grocery store or marketplace results in more plastic entering our homes and finally ending up in landfills and water bodies. India's plastic challenge is not merely a waste management issue. It's a systematic challenge that spans the entire life cycle of plastic, from production and consumption to disposal and its eventual leakage into water bodies, soil, food chains, and the oceans. Our rivers and oceans too are increasingly polluted, and plastics are now being found in the digestive systems of marine life. According to the World Bank, plastic pollution costs India nearly $10 billion annually in terms of damage to fisheries, tourism, and public health. Clearly, plastic pollution is not just an environmental crisis, it is also a social and economic one. Despite sustained efforts by governments at various levels, the use of single-use plastic and multi-layer plastics remain high. What we need is a fundamental shift from waste management to lifestyle management. As in plastic, they say there are 4 R's: restrict, refuse, reuse, and recycle. These are the 4 thumb rules that we always talk about whenever we address a seminar or discussion on plastics. But each of these R requires a huge effort. Effort of the government bodies to frame the policy. Efforts of the corporations and corporates to be more responsible in their packaging and advertising. And effort of the NGOs. Because the end of it all, there has to be an awareness. Especially to refuse. One of the R's, we say refuse. And to be more, to generate that movement for our environment. As we have read now, as days has gone by, we have, when I first came into politics, I came to politics through activism and things like that. And I remember when we used to talk of monuments, I was associated with INTAC, and we used to talk of heritage monuments, and a lot of people thought these were rich kids talking about big buildings. But today people realize that architecture is a heritage. We have recognized our man-made heritage, but we have not recognized the natural heritage. The environment is a part of our natural heritage, which we are supposed to share and not to exploit. That's why in the Indian civilization, we have always, in all our mantras, all our prayers, we have prayed for the woods, we have prayed for the trees. Whenever we wanted peace, we said, Vanaspati Shanti. We knew unless nature was at rest, man could not be at rest. This is something, in our culture. And somewhere down the line we became deculturalized, thinking that the nature was supposed to be exploited. The nature was there for our use. I remember in school we used to debate a lot, and one side would be for development, the other side would be for environment, and we would debate till the cows came home which is better in development or environment. But now there is a feeling that development without sustainability is no development. There is a feeling of that. That is a very good thing, and we have to work on it. As I said, create that movement. Because sitting in boardrooms or pushing files in the government offices is not going to bring about that change. As the officer from the executive director of the RBI said, we can't wish away plastics. We have to throw them out. And to throw them out, we have to go to the grassroots. There's no other way. And every part of the society has to play a role. Government has to make policies. The industry has to make research to find a cheaper or viable, or to say a viable alternative. Because we have got used to it now. Now no man on the street can think of life without plastics. Whether he goes to bazaar or he goes anywhere, shopping mall or whatever he does, there's a plastic in his life all the time. As I would say, life has been plasticized. So we need to generate that movement. The movement that it says, that we care for the natural heritage. A movement that sensitizes not only us, but people down the line. That is important. And sensitize the industry also. We can't just blame the down the line people. We need to look into industry. We need to look into policy, government policy, whether they are implementable or not. Are they only on files or are they on ground? How much of the policy is grounded? So today the study that that booklet that I have just released is a very useful one. It will show us the data, because data is strength nowadays. Data is strength, but the strength needs to be utilized. And plastics are causing havoc. That is the general knowledge nowadays. Even the man on the street will tell you too much of plastic and all that, but he'll buy another plastic glass. So that responsibility has to come. It is a very big challenge before us. It's a huge challenge. A bottle could pose so much of a challenge, no one thought. A water bottle could pose so much of a challenge, no one thought. It's a global challenge. And for us, it's a greater challenge because we have a huge population, a huge market. So how to build that awareness, especially among the youngsters? And youngsters are very well informed. It's not that they are not informed. They know that plastics, are destabilizing the environment. They know the plastics are choking rivers. Yet, that urge to, take part in the movement is not there. So this movement has to be built up against plastics. And one of the ways of doing it is to do a study, to see what we can do. One of the ways to do it is through activism. One of the ways to do it is through data, using the available data. So a huge problem like this requires a multi-pronged solution. The solution lies in many things. Problem is one, but the solution lies in many things. And this is one of the solutions, studying, the data, what can be done in packaging, how packaging will be more sustainable, how it can bring more, less pain on the human society, So this is actually Viksit Bharat is about this. We always think that Viksit Bharat is about, how rich we get. It is not only about how rich we get, it is about how responsible we get. And how responsibly we deal with problems. How we face problems. And this is one of these gatherings that, we are trying to find a solution to a huge global problem. And a big problem for our nation as we move towards a Viksit Bharat. There can be no Viksit Bharat without a Viksit environment. There can be no Viksit Bharat without clean water or clean air to breathe. So I wish you all the best, and I hope that some of the things that will come out of this meeting will build awareness among the industry, among the policy makers, among the people, youth especially. And I wish these initiatives are taken along, and the things that we have found in the book will be put into action. Putting policy into action is one of the challenges that we face in this country, because it's a huge country and very diverse. A very diverse and very huge country. I come from the northeast, where the biosphere is the most fragile, where there's so much of flora and fauna diversity. And I used to be a minister in my state, in Tripura, and people would always scream and tell me there is a huge potential for tourism. Let us promote tourism. I would always tell them, let's have responsible tourism. Because we have very few avenues in Northeast. So tourism was one of the greatest, avenues that we could, explore. To explore is okay, to exploit is bad. Exploitation in any form is bad. So I have to tell them, yes, but let us have responsible tourism. If you want tourism to sustain, you will have to have sustainable tourism. So there's no harm in having industry. The tourism industry come in, it has to be sustainable. In every sphere of work that we do, we have to measure the yardstick of sustainability. That's the main thing now. Whatever we do in business or anything we do, the benchmark should be, will it be sustainable? Will it harm anyone? If you do it without considering this fact, what happens? You're harming so many people. You're harming your own child. You're harming your own family. You're harming generations to come. That awareness needs to be built up. And you are taking a lead in this. I'm very happy, and I wish you all the success. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Maharashtra.